When my kid was small, I would read her books at night that rhymed. The lines always rhymed. A favorite was Pow Pow Fish. I'm a pow pow fish with a pow pow face for spreading dreary rearies all over the place, so I blub, blub, blub. At 18 months old, my daughter liked the sound of that. We would read Dr. Seuss. Fox, socks, box, knock, socks and fox. And she liked that. But something was missing. And for me, it was a richer play with the meanings of the words rather than just the sounds of the words, whether or not they rhymed, whether or not you can rhyme meaning, right? As a metaphor, imagine that rhyming meaning. You say something and it rhymes with something else. When we start to play with levels of meaning, we can do that. And that was missing from Pow Pow Fish. So I wrote this book, Sam the Clam, about this extraterrestrial clam who works for the CIA during the Cold War. We'll go through all of it. I'll just read the first page. Sam the Clam was discovered in New Mexico, USA in 1962. Joe Bermuda found him. He took Sam to a secret location for testing and training. Joe then sent Sam on a very important mission. This book contains some pictures from those years and a handful of Sam's poems. Sam is a good clam, a citizen of the world. You must understand that very important fact. Otherwise, you'll get the wrong idea. That's the first page. And then we get some of Sam's poetry. Joe found me in a river on his family vacation, ordinary day, September. He was a spaceman, an astronaut at NASA who never went to the moon. He was part of advanced research on mind-bending spoons, telekinesis for non-human species. He'd written a thesis on methods for rhesus, tested on fungus, extended to mollusk, molecular hummus. Now I walk amongst us. I miss Joe. I wanted to have something for my kid that would introduce other aspects of language. Molecular hummus. Now I walk amongst us. Sam the Clam was a way of doing that, but then it took on a different meaning, a more important meaning for me, the book. When you have a kid, when I have a kid, I can only speak for myself. It makes one's own mortality salient, more salient than it would be otherwise. Seems to be an unambiguous statistical finding based on my sample size of one and I observe other people in the world. I can only speak from this one. And now the book, for me, is more about the last book I'll ever read to her, the last conversation we'll have, the last laugh, the last goodbye. Recognizing that all relationships are finite has been the most important natural consequence of having a kid. It seems like it should be plain in the absence of a kid, but for me, it wasn't. Maybe I was just thick. Maybe I was denying it. I don't know, but I didn't acknowledge it. And it's true that all of these relationships are finite. Just going to read another poem from this. I don't feel like giving a lecture right now. I'm just I'm just thinking. Here's another poem from Sam the Clam. History cannot be written, words a poor storyteller, the fabric of facts forbidden to all but those who were there. No, with a K, no memory is not kind to us. Its assembly unwinds from us. Time reverse, minds disperse, these rhymes quietly reminding us. But I was there. That not only are all relationships finite, but even for ourselves, our own memories, before we reach those limits, our own memories decay with time. It is a consequence of cognitive aging. You can take all kind of wacky herbs. You can take all the supplements you want. Do some down dog. Do all that. It's good for you. But those memories are going to unwind. It's going to happen. Might happen at a slower rate, but it's going to happen. And then you really appreciate the bounds on how finite this experience is with ourselves and each of these relationships. That's been the natural consequence of having a physical object that will perhaps survive me. Not just some photos, but what Dad liked. Dad likes words. Here's Sam. I just wanted to watch the ocean, sat on a wall, looked at boats, and said to myself, who am I? I am a clam that stands in time. I am a clam that stands upright. Grains of sand like plans unwind. I rhyme besides a man and I clap hands with a clown whose face is pie. Arms, empty races, bases fried. It's a serious book. Sam is going through the Cold War. This is not pow pow fish. And when I was a little kid, the Cold War consequences and the limit, nuclear Armageddon, terrified me. I thought about it often. A lot of people did. It was a big deal. If you didn't go through that, it's easy to forget, or it's easy, if you weren't there, you can't forget. It's difficult to appreciate what that felt like as a kid because I was exposed to it in the media, the clamor around me. As a kid, I felt it. So we got Sam the Clam. So we got Sam the Clam. So we got Sam the Clam going through the Cold War. And I hope that I'll be able to talk someday when it makes sense to my kid about what life was like for me. And I hope this book will generate some conversations. Just looking for something to see if I want to read it. This was more in the Cat in the Hat sort of vein. Papa locks lockers, lobster mobsters, lob goblets like party poppers. Drink water, 8 glasses might cause you conscience. Wake up, pee, see? Spot coordinates. You're a party sponsor in Wisconsin. There's one I want to read. I'm just reading this, just imagining would anyone listen this far? If they did, I appreciate it. And if you came this far, then this is probably for someone like you. Verbal hurdles I race around tongues, lungs can't catch me in a verse about none. Nothing, nada, well, maybe a little. Poke it, pinata, pick up my fiddle. Square dance around you in circles. You're a sofa loafer. Got special shoes from France I saw on a chauffeur poster. The man wore a gopher holster. Look for a tall cowboy driver, Caucasian, former election pollster. Sam the Clam. So what I hope will happen is not only will this outlive me, but I will be able to have interesting, meaningful conversations with my kid about what it was like for me to be a kid. And also, you know, maybe the music I listened to, Eric B., Rakim, Public Enemy, Jay-Z, Nas, Eminem later. Maybe we'll talk about the serious impact that had on me, which wasn't just pop music, but listening to rap music when I was younger. I'm convinced of this, and I think it's difficult to object to it if you're paying attention. I'm having a conversation with myself. Is that exposure to sophisticated use of language the way it is used there, and in the best stuff, it's used in a very sophisticated way, increases one's sensitivity to that. So I want to show my kid that, you know, it impacted me. Now daddy thinks about words and language in a way that he wouldn't have otherwise. Let's listen to Paid in Full. Let me show you what I mean. Fiddle bob, fiddlesticks, nonsense runs on sentences laced with commas and puns. Drama state spun. Mafia mint sons. The Fed raised rates in 61. I'm being straight with you, son. McCabe was a bum. Burns, light bulb, radiate just for fun. Don't be late for the bomb. One more. When Sam went to Vietnam, that kind of bothered him. That was his breaking point. He was done with imperialism at that point. Enough action's been captured, my shell dented, fractured, meant well, madness. I'm getting out of this labyrinth. The South will fall, mark my words, stamp it. Over, out, close it, closet, clam it. No Sam and Nam, Shazam. I'm out, man. And he went on and he did other things. I grew up on Rambo, Vietnam movies when I was a kid. That seemed to matter. That did matter at the time. And that made me. I am not just now, I am a consequence of some ingredients that were stirred together, all of these cultural ingredients. And if my kid doesn't learn that aspect of me, and if there is no record of that aspect of me, besides my birthday and Omega, then I will just be a statistic. But at least I can sort of boil it all down here, I thought at the time, and maybe it is here. And I'm just rambling because I wanted to say something that might get you thinking, and I just got myself thinking, which is even better. Bears get stared at. Remember, this is a children's book too. Bears get stared at. They're like that, center of attention like a tire flat. But on the highway, it's my way. UFO Clam, I fly away. Sam's a little happy there. I remember that trip with Stanley and Jane. We saw tubes for fools on a Montana plain. Fantasy Island, simply long range. Tattoo stood there, ready. engaged. We ate croutons in Tucson, watched cartoons in motels. Before futons, we used coupons, got a Thai massage just for shells. Whatever happened to Jane? She wrote poems for kids, rhymed dog and frog, not one bit like this. Just going to read this one more time. I just wanted to watch the ocean, sat on the wall, looked at boats and said to myself, who am I? I am a clam that stands in time. I am a clam that stands upright. Grains of sand like plans unwind. I rhyme besides a man and I clap hands with a clown whose face is pie. Arms, empty races, bases fried. Mortality, y'all. If you need some motivational quote from some figure or some dude who writes for the internet to grapple with your own mortality, if you think that that is some kind of lotion you can rub on that feeling and for it really to provide protection, I suspect you're mistaken. That if one really grapples with that, and we're all grappling with that challenge, of managing the certainty. When we realize that there's no quick cure for that, I don't know what the cure is for that. I don't like prescriptions. But a bad cure seems to be just keeping it in a bottle or in a jar behind a pillow in the closet. Because what's in that jar behind the pillow in the closet, the stuff that makes you you, whatever it is the important part. And that is only apparent, assuming finite time. Sounds like bullshit, but it's just true. That doesn't make it any less true. But it definitely sounds like some woo bullshit. That's what poetry can allow us to do. It allow us to say things less directly. Have you ever had pizza and pizza? I'm not sure if I have. I've got bits and pieces, fragments of eating, pasta strung feelings, impossible meetings. Is that really me? Can I say ciao for a greeting? Olive oil, Mediterranean speaking. Okay, just one more. I'm just rambling. If I feel unconstrained that I can just ramble, I think I'll do this more often. If I feel like it's got to be edited and coherent, it's a forecast. Who were those nice ladies? What were their names? I remember they stood there on Thursdays, except when it rained. Was it Helga, Adele, Salome and Franny, or Elka Cattell, Natalie, and Annalie? My mind has become pixelated by the scaling of years. Details once vivid are now lost in the smears. I sharpen the edges with this modest ledger, no longer a featherless fledgling. Memory, holes turned to cheddar. Or was that Switzerland? My mind has become pixelated by the scaling of years. Details once vivid are now lost in the smears. I sharpen the edges with this modest ledger. I sharpen the edges with this modest ledger. That's the goal of the book, I suppose. Appreciate you listening to me just think out loud. I mean that.